Okay, welcome everybody to the Memphis Area Association of Realtors. Let's talk about it, serving those with disabilities. As a realtor, you're in the driver's seat and you have way more control over your community than you may realize. We, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, want to focus on celebrating, growing, and strengthening our membership and community as we grow together to create the best shared future. We want to introduce our panelists from SRVS locally here in Memphis. If Jessie, will you start?
I would love to. Hi, everybody. My name is Jessie Wiley, and I am the Director of Development and PR for SRVS. My job is to raise funds and raise awareness for SRVS. So this is definitely helping with that. And we thank you, Joel, for the invitation to continue the conversation about supporting people with disabilities.
Hello, good morning, well, afternoon. My name is Troy Allen. I am the SRVS Director of Employment Services and also our Family Support Program. With regard to family support, that's where we assist families who are living at home that need some assistance in order to be able to live independently. We do things like build ramps. We help them widen doorways. We make sure that their home is handicap accessible so that they can navigate throughout their homes as they need. The employment services, which is why I always say it's the coolest job in the organization, because this is where we find opportunities for people with disabilities to go to work. And if you know anything about independence, anything about people who want to be happy, work is such a big part of that. And that's why I have the coolest job, because I see how we change lives. Because when a person goes to work, no longer dependent on social services, they make their own money, they call their own shots. That's a really cool thing. So that's what I'm excited to talk to you about today. Thank you for having me.
And we'll introduce two of our other participants or people that are here from SRVS and then go to our panelists online. So.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Wu. I am the communication specialist with SRVS. I handle the PR side more. So I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Hello, I'm Cindy Strong, and I'm on the development team and special events. So you will see that our SRVS, our whole SRVS staff has a very competitive attitude about who has the coolest job and which department is the coolest. So I'll just go ahead and let you know that PR and development, we are the coolest. So thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Felicia, will you go ahead and introduce yourself? Unmute when you get a moment.
I thought you never asked for me to introduce myself. Troy, Jessie, Cindy, Matt, I have the coolest job. My name is Felicia Robinson, and I am the Director of Community Service. One of my primary responsibilities is to ensure that people have an opportunity to explore their communities. We want them to be a viable part of their community where they live, where they work, and where they play. One of my programs that I'm most fond of is our Independence Coach Program. And Troy mentioned a lot about independence and how important work, but also it's important that people live on their own and have those supports to live as they choose, as independent as they know how. So you'll hear a little bit more later about why my job is the coolest, but I won't take up too much time on the front end. I'll turn it over to Jenny.
And the benefit of introducing yourself last is getting to negate everyone else's coolest job, because I truly have the coolest. So I am a member of the care management team. My title is Quality Outcomes Manager, and I am tasked with helping members set their goals and work towards realizing those goals. I also work with accreditation to ensure that we're delivering the best quality of services, and I serve on several advisory councils to make sure that the services are in conjunction and link with what's actually needed by the community.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much. 2 notes for our participants here. Please do sign in. If you have failed to do that, please try to make sure that you do that while you're here. Try to keep your social distancing. We tried to set the room up for that. We also have snacks for after or even during if needed. So please enjoy and learn with us. And I'm going to hand over to Diane, who has a mic on her. So I'm going to turn this little guy off. Thanks, guys.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Great. Welcome to all the SRVS members and and MAR members as well. We're happy to have you here today. So I'm here to tell you, or kind of lead the discussion on what we're going to talk about. And we're talking about serving people with disabilities. It's can be described as an underserved market. They aren't always recognized for the disability, and we don't always know how to handle it. So hopefully today we'll get some direction on that and get the, I'm going to take this off, sorry. You know, have an impact as real estate professionals. You know, we want to impact in a positive way in our community. So that's our main, what we're going to talk about. And then why we're talking about it, because real estate's the fabric of our country. You know, it is, realtors tailor the future of people in building their wealth through home ownership. And we want all people to have that fair, you know, have access to home ownership and wealth. So our goal today is to make everyone more aware of how to serve people with disabilities. We want to focus on the ability, not the disability. And that's something that I read when we were researching for this project, and it just makes so much sense. A lot of people focus on the negative, but let's focus on the positive and turn it around and make it, these people have the coolest jobs in the world. I mean, we need to make them successful at what they're doing. So we need to understand the everyday challenges of every person on our planet and help them to, you know, meet their goals. So with that, we're going to show the video about SRVS. It's about a 7-minute video that will kind of give you an overview about what our guests do.
SRVS' mission is to provide the services that people with disabilities need in order to live meaningful lives as members of their community.
So when we work with a person, we make sure we holistically look at their needs. We are in place to make sure we provide those opportunities and that they can live their dreams and be happy.
SRVS Kids and Families has been around in the Mid-South since 1986. So these programs have sustained the test of time over all these years. This is our inclusive preschool, which is called Play, Do, Learn. And this is for children from 15 months to 6 years of age. And it's a fully inclusive program. We strive for a 50-50 ratio of typically developing children to children with special needs, which is great because children are able to learn from each other. They learn that everybody has strengths and needs and that everybody can be a good friend. Besides the inclusive preschool, we have a program called Early On, which is an infant parent group that meets once a week, and it's for children from birth to age 3. And then we have early intervention services. These are specialists that travel throughout Shelby, Fayette, and Tipton County to provide services in the child's home or child care setting. And then we offer pediatric therapy, which includes speech, language, occupational, physical, feeding, and behavior therapy.
SRVS is over 55 years old. We started in 1962. And that was really pioneering for that time because that was a time when people went to institutions or were just kept in a back room. This was a group of parents that got together and really wanted to see their loved ones be part of their community, give back to their community. And a lot of what we see is an increase in self-confidence, an increase in self-esteem. We see people who all their lives have had people do things for them who are all of a sudden doing things for themselves. And they get that pride of ownership in a sense because they're doing it on their own.
Today we are here at the bowling alley with 3 phenomenal men who I enjoy supporting, Greg, Glenn, and Robert. They occasionally visit Billy Harwick's bowling alley because they enjoy getting out. Our whole goal is to ensure that people with disabilities are fully integrated in their community. and not only integrated, they play an active role. And so being a part of a bowling league is one of their dreams, and just having a good time, the same things that you and I enjoy doing.
I got one more.
So I've seen their lives totally change. I've seen them happier and healthier. And I've seen them really, really want to be connected in their communities and have real friends and just have tangible things that make them happy. And we've been able to see that over the last few years. We've been able to see a great change in their lives as a result of the supports and services that they receive from service.
Today we're emphasizing the work that's being done by one of the people we support. Matt is a person who came to SRVS looking for a job. It so happens that he has a disability, and we specialize in supporting people with disabilities. So we take our folks and we find the right job so that he can be successful. And he's an example right now of how successful you can be when we find the right job for the right person.
My job is assignment, coordinator, have fun with all the people here.
We currently support over 250 people working in the Memphis area. We're just looking for the right person for the right job. We don't just put a person in a job. We first find out what those skills are. Then we go find the employer that needs those skills, and we put them together at that point.
Today we're here, we're going to actually look at some of the activities that the people that live here, the individuals that live here in this home, that they like to do as far as their gardening, and just showing you what it's like to just see how they fulfill the things that they like to do. And when you think about people or individuals with disabilities, you think that they're limited. But when we work with the individuals that we have to bring the things that they communicate to us to life, you see and they see that this is something they can do it. So they take on the I can do it attitude. But the goal is to get our individuals to be as independent as possible and give them their best life by allowing them to be who they are.
An introductory video about what you guys do and how you help people. So I'm here to lead the discussion today with our panelists, virtually and in person, to help understand why and how everyone can have a safe and accessible access to housing and the chance to own that home, like we talked about earlier. There's barriers to affordable housing for many people, and we want to try to limit those barriers and help people find housing that works in every situation. So we do welcome your questions, but we're going to hold those till the end of the discussion. If you don't mind, there'll be plenty of time for that. And Darnell and I are going to ask some questions. So just to get started, and anyone can answer, whoever is most in tune to the question, but what services have been most needed and requested during the pandemic from Shelby Residential?
So I help facilitate intake. So I see a lot of the referrals. Before and after the pandemic, the most requested service is residential support. So people want to live on their own. Residential support means a person lives by themselves, away from their family, with or without a housemate, and learns how to live, budget, do their laundry, change their light bulbs, all those things that you do when you live on your own. It's always been a very needed service and probably the most difficult service to coordinate because you have to find the right house, the right neighborhood, the right housemate, and the right access. So that's been the most needed service.
All right, next question. All right. How can realtors be an active ally to people with disabilities? And what are the real estate needs of people with disabilities, their families, and caretakers?
So one of the, what the big asset is having affordable and accessible homes. We want people to be able to age in place, and what has happened over the years, people has had to move from one location to another because as their health changes, as their needs change, the homes aren't accessible and affordable. And some of the problems that we run into, a lot of the realtors or people want 3 times the income, and that's not always possible. So we're running with the income verification needs and some of those things that make it very challenging for them to even get an affordable housing.
That makes sense. So this question wasn't even in our list, but do you mostly deal with people who are buying homes, or is it, 70% rental, 30% purchasing? What's the ratio there?
It is close to 95% rental. Most of the people that we support live in HUD housing, or they live in a house of a family member that is willing to rent it to them at a reduced rate. So most of our folks that have residential support are paying approximately 30% of their income towards the housing on a sliding scale lease.
So how can we change that?
Understanding how people with disabilities can invest in things like their own ABLE account, which allows them to save up to $150,000 without affecting their Medicare, Medicaid budgets. Being aware of what kind of access needs there may be, and being aware of grants that may be available to people with disabilities to help them better access the housing market.
And I have to add something there, because obviously through employment, people are able to change their circumstances, right? So when we have folks who are making enough money to support their own lifestyle and their choices, then that can lead to home ownership. Quite often in the past, people didn't get options. They were institutionalized. They were left in the back room. They were watching television all day. They didn't have an opportunity to even dream and think about what they'd like to do. But when we start working with families, we give them an open door to possibilities, and then you can really dig into what a person might be interested in. And a lot of them would love to own their own home. They just have not been introduced. They haven't had opportunities to try and move forward.
All right, here's another question. Is there a certification for those that want to focus on serving this very deserving group?
So go ahead, Troy.
Okay, so I'm sure Jenny will have a different spin on it, but certification from an employment perspective is that we have nationally certified employment members that work with people and their families to coordinate the services they need around getting a job, around moving forward in their life. So that national certification is a distinction that we have at SRVS, as opposed to what most organizations have, because we are an employment first organization, which means we take employment very seriously. We understand how powerful it is. So those certifications make us a cut above the rest, and we want to perform at that level and give people the best possible services and options.
And as far as certification for the realtor goes, certification on your end, your real estate license allows you to serve people with and without disabilities. There's not a distinction between serving a person with a disability and without, although there are training courses to help you better understand how to accommodate those with disabilities.
Like this one. Very good.
Oh, can I add one other certification that we instituted? Also, we have our Independence Coach Program, and that is a certification that we created. And it's just a step up for our staff who are considered direct support professionals. Our Independence Coach is a certification that we've created that allows our staff to be given the opportunity to support our people to live as independent as they can. So those supports are put in place for the staff and for the individuals we support.
So what does it look like when that 5% actually gets to own a home? What does success look like in that situation?
There's such a sense of pride and accomplishment of being a home owning member of your community. We would like to see more people involved in their HOAs. We'd like to see more people involved in their neighborhood watch. And when you can say, I live here, I own this, this is mine, there is such a sense of pride, just as it would be for anyone else when you buy your own home. Think of how many times you may have taken that picture of a homeowner with the keys You know, that is such a much huger accomplishment to somebody who may have been living below the poverty level due to their disability. So it's just the sense of pride and sense of community membership.
Well, last question from me. How often do you work with ADA laws, violations, and compliances?
So I work with the legal counsel team, and we often have to deal with different things through the Department of Justice. And typically when we see that there is some type of legal concern, it's dealing with conservatorship and not with necessarily ADA compliance. Probably the biggest struggle with ADA compliance are homes built before 1990, or buildings built before 1990 when the ADA was signed. So a lot of buildings haven't been modified since then, and future modifications tend to be a struggle.
Let me add that one of the things we do in employment is a job site assessment. So if we are talking to an employer and they are interested in some person that we support, then we start by going in to review and kind of assess the environment that they'll be working in, because we need to know if it's accessible, if there are any challenges, any borders that that would cause us to have a problem in terms of them working there. And we educate the employers, because most often when businesses are not ADA compliant, they probably don't even know it. And so we find ourselves in an educational role quite often, because we have to make sure they understand what's necessary, what's required by law, and then we could talk individually about the person and what accommodations they may need. So as it relates to that, we do a lot of educating in the business community.
Educating and employment. I think that's kind of some key words to take home from this discussion. So what suggestions would any of you have to a realtor working with a person with disabilities?
I'll start.
I was gonna say, we could probably hear from everyone on this.
Yeah. So one of the things that we always focus on, and people who are not really in the disability world might not quite understand it, but we use what we call a person-centered approach. So we don't want to take any broad or sweeping concepts and apply them to all people with disabilities. We have to get to know that individual. We have to find out what it is that they want to accomplish. Then we have to put steps and goals in place so that they can reach where they're trying to go. So that's a very important part for us, is just making absolutely sure that we are addressing the person's needs, the person's desires, and then come up with an individualized plan to get them where they're trying to go.
And I would just say just to piggyback on Troy, just really getting to know that person and not looking at history, because people change and situations change, but taking an opportunity to know that person and really, really see what their need is and try to meet that need.
And I'll add one thought to back up. SRVS supports over 1,900 people in the Mid-South, people of all ages and all abilities. And obviously what Troy said, there is a person-centered mind frame into how we approach what we do. And that's why we love what we do. So there are people of all abilities. Some of them are working all around us at Kroger down the street, all the businesses that you can name. There's over 100 in the annual report at your seat. And these wonderful people who want to be productive members of society, right? Independence means something different to each person. So that could mean gainful employment, working a certain number of hours a week. For some people, independence might mean changing a light bulb or being able to get yourself dressed with minimal interaction from somebody else. So I don't know how many of you have heard about SRVS before today, but keep that in mind moving forward, that we're talking very broadly when it comes to abilities and ages and the people that we support. So part of this discussion, we're really happy to continue this conversation with you even after today, so that we can continue the understanding and the service that we are doing at SRVS.
Okay, let's open it up to the floor.
She had one in the back.
Okay, yes, sir.
Through Zoom, were you all able to hear the question?
No, we were not.
Okay, can you summarize that question?
Sure. So say someone has been working for 10 years and saving and is in the position to look for a home, and there's a seller who is open to owner finance. So they would hold the loan and be paid. Is there someone at SRVS that would work with that individual to be an advocate with them through the through that transaction?
Yes, and there are other resources as well. Typically, I would be the person who coordinates that. You would want to make sure that there is a very well-written contract and that it's been reviewed by a lawyer on the other side as well. The ARC of the Mid-South has legal advisors as well that can help make sure that neither side is being taken advantage of and that the contract is good and binding. It would need to have probably a family lawyer or a real estate person involved as well, just because that's your side of the thing. We can talk about ADA and all of that, but understanding the real estate law, we would need your help with that.
Thank you. Jenny, earlier, I believe you shared some information about an account. Was it an ABLE account? Can you
Yes, ABLE account. It's run through the Tennessee Department of Treasury, and anybody who's been on Medicare or Medicaid service has a capped amount of money that they can have in their bank account before their Medicare or Medicaid benefits are affected. And it's $2,000, which when you think of $2,000 savings when you're trying to buy a home, not very many people are going to think of that as a good down payment. But an ABLE account allows you to contribute. It's the same type of account as a college savings program. You can contribute up to $15,000 a year and up to $150,000 total without it affecting your Medicare and Medicaid benefits. And you can withdraw for nearly any type of need, including home ownership, without any type of penalty. It's also it accrues money. It is a savings account, so it would accrue percentage just like anything else. So it allows people to save and have that nest egg, rainy day fund to save for those bigger things without affecting their Medicare, Medicaid benefits.
Thank you very much for that. Additional, okay, one.
My question is kind of personal because I have a daughter that's 28 years old that has intellectual disabilities. So do you help families that my daughter would inherit our home because so she would have somewhere to stay? We do not want her to go into any type of assisted living, but we would like her to have like a housemate, someone that will help her budget because she can't do that part. She can cook, do a little light cooking. So do you all have services to help families that may be able to provide the home, but need the other assistance to manage and be able to sustain the home?
Short
Yes,
answer is yes. And I think Felicia is the ideal person to give a full response.
Yes, we have a couple of programs that will fit right into what you're saying. We have our ECF, which is our Employment and Community First, as well as our Independence Coach program. Now, with the Independence Coach program, that whole operation allows people to live as independent as they choose and only getting the supports needed for that particular person. Say, for instance, they just needed someone to come in to help with cooking or to help with transportation or help with med administration. That's what that person would do. If they need more supports, then we add those supports. Through our ECF program, through our supportive living, through ECF, it's called Community Living, Supportive Living. And that allows a person to come in and it is paid for through through that managed care organization, whether you have AmeriGroup, Blue Cross Blue Shield, or whatever that component is of insurance, that pays for the support that the staff, that pays for the staff and whatever support's needed for that staff during that period. So if your daughter, and if you choose to have a roommate, I think that you're making a great move right now, putting those particular plans in place, because what happens a lot of times it's not done. So I congratulate you for, putting those steps in place. And we would love to talk to you later and help you put anything in place that will make you feel good about making sure her future is secured when you're no longer able to do it.
And I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is a let's talk about it series. So let's talk about it. All right. Thanks.
Earlier, you referenced grants that might be available for individuals that were wanting to buy a home. Is there a resource where we could go to for those types of help, for our clients?
If you would get with me after, Matt can provide you with my email address, and I can send you a link for resources for grants like that. There's quite a few. I don't want to take up all your time and spell out addresses, but yes, I can send that.
Matt, could you send that to everyone? Actually, yeah, that would be a great idea. We'll share that with everyone. And what I'm finding, there are a lot more resources that we know about because it's something we don't really dive into enough. So I think that's wonderful. Please, any additional questions this time? Okay, yeah, wonderful.
Would this be anything that could be considered a designation at some point if there are those of us who want to focus more on this? Because it really does seem about, connection. We would come to SRVS to get individuals who are looking and then be able to better serve them with training that we've had.
I think as it relates to what you just said, the key word for us is connections. We're always looking to make connections in the community. Not everything leads to a job. Not everything is going to lead to a house, but those connections open up possibilities. So we welcome that opportunity to partner with you, to just brainstorm and see what we can do. We have a big agency, multiple departments. We'll bring all the right people to the table, and we can kind of brainstorm what possibilities might be.
Thank you, guys. And it looks like Jenny. Okay. Okay. Do you want to pull that up? And if you all have participated in some of the resources at Home with Diversity and some of our other NAR sponsored items, you will see some of the ADA compliance addressed. So yeah, hello from the great Chattanooga Realtors. Do you know of a state resource that it could assist with helping more ADA, more homes become ADA compliant, like a grant or reduced cost program? Thanks. Jenny, do you want to go verbal on this?
Well, Troy can speak more on the family support program. We run the family support program for West Tennessee, but there is a family support program for Middle and East. So I'll let Troy speak more on that. There's a lot of enabling technology as well that makes a home more accessible, whether that's enabling technology that you might utilize, like Ring doorbells, which have become very popular. Those are incredibly enabling for the people that we support, but there's a wide array of technology that's now available, and enabling technology is often funded through Medicare, Medicaid services as well. When you're thinking about ADA compliance, many people first think of the physical limitations that a home may have, but you have to remember that ADA compliance also addresses vision impairments, cognitive impairments, hearing impairments that a person may have. So when you're thinking about disability, don't just think, is it wheelchair accessible? Because disability is much bigger than that. So I'll pass it on to Troy to speak about family support.
Okay, the Family Support Program is a state-funded initiative, and the state of Tennessee puts roughly $13 million a year into the Family Support Program, and that's designed to help people who have not been able to get into a waiver service, and that's considered to be the big service model that's in Tennessee. These are people who are at home. Some are waiting to get into the waiver. Some really want to stay at home, but they need some assistance. So we do an assessment with each family. Every year they get an opportunity to apply for that funding, and we can help them once approved, however they might need. Quite often it is ADA. We also pay for personal items, hygiene items. We pay for home modifications, vehicle modifications, whatever it takes so that that family can live comfortably at home until they either get into the waiver, or if their entire goal is to stay at home and be independent, that's what we do to help them stay in that model.
Y'all mind if I jump in real quick? Sorry. So anyway, I was follow up on there. I'm Josh from Greater Chattanooga Realtors. I'm the diversity inclusion person over here in Eastern Tennessee. I was thinking that a lot of our members, when they are dealing with their clients, they may be facing these sort of life events where they have a loved one who has undergone some sort of medical issue to where they may perhaps be looking at a property, but it may not meet what their current needs are. And so those, I wrote them down here, those programs I think would be very useful for our members as they're looking to help, provide services to our community. And I'll mute again. And thanks for letting me hop on today. Appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you.
So one other question, are there any campaigns for improvement in the areas of language, defamation, treatment of people, anything like that?
Along the lines of GLAD or NAACP, any organizations?
Well, there is a organization called TASH. They don't go by their acronym anymore because their acronym in and of itself is a bit challenging. It stands for the Association of the Severely Handicapped. There is the ARC of the Mid-South, which is very all-inclusive. And for just about any disability, there is a corresponding organization that helps advocate for them. For example, the Down Syndrome Association, Center for Independent Living is very active. I would say the best place to look for resources is called the Tennessee Disability Pathfinder. And that's run through Vanderbilt. The easiest way to get to it is to Google it. But Vanderbilt has a very comprehensive list of all kinds of disability services and resources across the state of Tennessee, including advocacy resources.
And I'll add that we also are members of and work closely with APSE, which is an acronym for the Association of People Supporting Employment First. They're a national organization. They do a lot of work advocating for people, getting them into the workforce and helping them individualize their lives. So APSE is definitely a big player when it comes to disability services.
Great. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
One last question. Are there any marketing tools that you all use or things that to help in consideration of serving those with disabilities? I know that the ADA compliance has started to take place on websites, which is kind of a good thing to see. So a lot of widgets and so forth are on websites, but are there any applications or advertising to show that you are an inclusive person serving those with disabilities? Anything that is widely used or?
Well, I'll say that as a nonprofit, we look for every possible avenue that we can find to advocate on behalf of people with disabilities or to educate those who might not be aware. So we jump on every free show that we can find. We have our flyers and advertisements that we get out. We do e-blasts. We do all those things to try and find the best possible way to reach the greater community at the least amount of cost, simply because money is tight for a nonprofit.
Wonderful. And would anyone like to share anything they've learned today or anything they had not even considered or thought of? Just want to keep the conversation going for the future if anybody wants to say anything. But just think about it. Key thoughts of the discussion. I think as Diane said, we educate and our other E word, educate and employment.
Right.
Yeah, well, which is, both of those are all about empowerment. So I think that's really what we want to do, is just make sure that we make sure to continue to empower people, focus on their abilities. And naturally, we may not have had experiences where we've served someone with a specific disability or something we've even known was there. But quite often you start talking about things, you start thinking about things, and then immediately after you see things that you never even noticed were there. So we want to make sure that we're just open to serving people the best we can.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite each and every one of you to help us in our mission, because all of us have some influence. All of us go out, we shop, we spend money, we do things in the community. So what we ask is that when you are out and about, take the name of SRVS with you. If you see an opportunity for us to come out and talk to an employer, and we know that every conversation won't lead to a job, but when you see those opportunities, that's what we're here for. And I will respond personally and come out and talk to them about the benefits of employment. We'll give them great examples and success stories. We'll talk to them about the tax breaks they can get for hiring a person with a disability. We'll talk about the environment, how we support, how we never go away. And we have a slogan that we say, we fade away, but we never go away. We're always there to support the employer, the person working there, and their family. So just keep that in mind. And I have some business cards with me today. I want to leave and just tell people, call SRVS and ask for employment. And they're going to eventually get to me. And we will follow up on every lead. That's how much we believe in our mission. And anything you can do to help us along the way, to help a person with a disability realize their dream and eventually buy that house. Keep that in mind when you go out and about. Thank you.
Thank you. Troy, and you basically answered the next question already. Okay, yay, come on.
I'm sorry if this is a silly question. I'm literally brand new to real estate, just brand new. But so what if there are people that want to buy a home and they don't necessarily have a lot of savings? They don't have a lot like someone else would have to put down on a house. Are there programs that are going to help them get into that house when they really don't have a lot to put down, or, you know, something like that?
That's where I would say that it would be really good for you to be aware of the grants available. And also like how to mentor them towards savings with things like the ABLE account.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I will say, I'm pretty sure everyone in this room is learning about these same things at the exact same time. So a lot of this is just unfortunately not everywhere, not easily found. So I'm really excited that we're talking about this. And really just how are we an ally for those with disabilities, which Troy already mentioned. Just be aware, there may be opportunities. Somebody may say, you know, I have this business and I really just need a little help. I really need someone that'll really make an impression on customers when they come in, be happy, help keep things going. That may be an opportunity where we could reach out to Troy and really get something that can change their lives. So any other things that we can do to alleviate challenges for those with disabilities?
I would just like to ask the client if they have any accommodation needs, because a lot of people don't talk openly about their disability. They may not feel free sharing it because a lot of disabilities are not visible disabilities. So ask as part of your introduction to a home, are there any accommodation needs that you have? Because 26% of homes have some type of access need. Of families have a person, either the primary householder is a person with a disability or has a family member with a disability. So ask about those accommodation needs.
Excellent. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful advice.
And although employment is very, very important, and it's one of the angles we definitely want to always look at, we also want people to have real friends and build natural supports in their community. So if there's opportunities that we can come and volunteer and do things with you, please feel free and give us an opportunity to do that, because we want people to form those natural relationships and have those real friendships and become real members of their society. So through your through your offices, if there are things that we can do to assist you, please give us an opportunity. We would love to do that, because we do want people to build those relationships.
Feel free to get your phone out and go look for us on Facebook or Instagram. I don't know how many of y'all had heard about SRVS before today. I would love to see a couple people. So we'd love for you to follow us. We have events throughout the year. We have a 5K coming up in April. The Bunny Run, Cindy is planning it as we speak, and that supports our children's services. We have a wonderful gala. We will be in person, God willing, this year in August. And those are the types of things that can really enhance our mission, enhance our relationship with you, and just thank you for this opportunity. And now you can keep us in the back of your mind or the front of your mind when you are going out and serving as the fabric of your community, as you said earlier. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. And side note, we do have some notes of ways to help prove the situation and serving those with disabilities. So please look over it. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're all learning together. We in the past year, being part of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, I've learned a lot. And so I would hope that you all will take committee seriously. You really do grow. So I would hope that in the future, you all will consider being on a committee and helping with Mars Focus. Want to just thank everyone. We do need to make sure everybody signed in. If anyone did not sign in, please be sure to do that. We do have some refreshments and to keep the conversation going afterwards. Thank you all very much, physically and virtually, for being with us today. I really think you've opened our minds and our hearts, and I think we're going to do some good work together. Thank you all so much.